We've got news about Inside Out 2. We've got some news about the Batman Cape Crusader TV show, news about the Penguin and what major cameo might be appearing, and we're going to be diving into the Boys and Acolyte, which I could have been wrong. I may be wrong, but we're going to dive straight into that. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, you know exactly what comes up first.
Welcome to the Light Camera Rant Podcast, your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights Camera Rant. As always, if you're brand new, welcome. If you're coming back for another episode, thank you again and appreciate it greatly. I know this episode we usually go live on a Sunday. We're going a little bit later because I had my Bucks weekend this past weekend for getting married in 79 days, which is getting really, really close. Which I cannot believe. But yeah, we are 79 days away from the wedding, so we're at the Bucks weekend. So couldn't exactly record, let alone we actually had the wherewithal to try and record. It probably would have been a heaps and a lot funnier for me to record that pissed. But then again, I couldn't really walk, and knowing me, I probably wouldn't be able to put my headphones on right or do anything right, let alone try and hit the big red button on streaming that says go live. So that could have been a question as well. So I hope everyone has had a good weekend. I hope everyone had a good week and ready to get into the brand new month that we are in July, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that means that at the end of this month, we get Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of this month, which is going to be the biggest, most profitable movie of this year, which is going to smash the box office. I can see it now. But speaking of box office, Dune has been beaten by Inside Out 2. And yes, I know that's a lot of people probably saying WTF and what the hell, but yes. So last week we recorded the fact that domestically Inside Out 2 had beat Dune. So since that last week's episode, Inside 2 has now beaten Dune as the highest grossing movie of 2024 with $460 million at the box office. Now, my bold prediction is that Deadpool 3 will beat Inside Out 2 at the box office. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it probably won't because it's R-rated. People have superhero fatigue along those lines. But you got to remember, this is the only major superhero film that's coming out this year. Yes, we got Joker 2, but I mean one on the MCU timeline. You know, it's not on and the Joker isn't in James Gunn's verse yet, or not yet, you know what I mean? But I think Deadpool 3 will be the highest grossing movie this year because it's going to appeal to everyone. Just watching the trailers, just seeing, I know it's going to be a little bit restricted, but I think because there's no other superhero film coming out this year, it's just you're going to get crowds, you're going to get droves, everyone going to see this film, and it's going to be prime time. Not to mention, not so much prime time, but it's going to be releasing the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So all the planets are going to be aligning for Deadpool 3. But if you told me, hey, Lee, real quick, I'm going to tell you the fact that Inside Out 2 is going to be Dune, I'll be like, really? I would put my money on it, but yes, it did. 110%, and it's completely smashed it at the box office. Because look, it's this year again. I've always said this year compared to last year. Last year was completely stacked with banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. This year is a little bit more scattered and a little bit, not as tentpole movies have been. Now, I know also probably a little criticism about this year is the fact that it's sequel, reboot, sequel, reboot, prequel. There's very little of, original films coming to market this year. And that's completely right. Dune 2, Inside Out 2, Deadpool 3, Joker 2, Alien 6 or 7. That's another sequel. 8. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's another one. Beetlejuice 2. There's a lot coming out here. That's just sequels or prequels on the same timeline. There's nothing really massive like Oppenheimer, Barbie. That's big tentpole movies where they are not connected to a major universe or anything. But yes, Inside Out 2 is currently your winner for 2024. Now, this got me excited. Currently, right now, they are shooting season 2 of Andor. Now, Andor was the longest Star Wars TV show to ever come out. And not only it felt longest as in the sense like, just by episodes, but just long in the time frame of how the episodes came out. But if you trimmed it down, the quality was there. It was really good. Loved it. Now, season 2. Now, we do know season 2 is currently being shot at the moment. Release date is for next year. And this was tying exactly from season 2 going right up to Rogue One. Now, one of the best things I heard about is that Ben Mickelson, he is going to be returning as director critic for this. Now, he's not going to be in the entire season, but he's going to be rocking out for a couple of episodes. So the last rumor that we also heard about Andor is the fact there's meant to be major time jumps between going 1, 2, 3 time jump, 1, 2, 3 time jump, 1, 2, 3 time jump. So I think they've probably taken listen to the feedback of season 1 about how long the episodes felt, time frames, everything else in between, and they're going to really speed this up. So if you're watching it, it's going to be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. It's just going to keep that flow of time frame, which I'm sure they're going to do very well. But the fact that director critic is going to be back, I'm in. I can't wait for season 2 of Andor. That's right. Before we get that, we do have Skeleton Crew and we do have Acolyte right now. Now, as I mentioned, Deadpool 3 is dropping at the end of this month, and it's going to take the cake, ladies and gentlemen. You watch it. It is going to be the highest grossing movie of this year. Take my money on that. Now, speaking of this, okay. Speaking of sequels, speaking of in between, Eddie Murphy is currently doing his press tour for Axel Foley movie that's dropped on Netflix. He's mentioned the fact he's just at the very beginning of this year, he has gone into the studio to record lines for Shrek 5. And after Shrek 5, he's going to be recording for the Donkey Solo movie that's coming down later down the track. And look, if we look back at The Last Wish from Puss in Boots, that was fantastic. We got an iconic villain. It was a great story. We all loved it. DreamWorks is cooking. If you told me that, hey, here's a brand new movie called Shrek, and there's going to be 5 sequels, and there's going to be 2 spin-offs, and that one spin-off is going to get a sequel to that, I'd be like, bullshit. But hey, here we are. So Shrek fans, get ready for Shrek 5 and the Donkey Solo movie that's coming up. Now, also in the past week, as I mentioned, we got the brand new trailer for Batman Caped Crusader. This is dropping on Amazon Prime on August the 1st, 10 episodes. They are all dropping. Now, this is being produced by Bruce Timm, who produced and helped create the original Batman the Animated TV show. Now, a lot of people ask me saying that, is this a spiritual successor? Is this a sequel? Where does this currently fit? So this TV show is, yes, a spiritual successor to the Batman animated TV show, but not in the sense that it's going to be a timeline sequel. This is them going back, making a Batman animated TV show, but for adults with no restrictions. Because they still had, even though there was some really dark parts in Batman the animated series, they're not going to restrict it. They've got full freedom in this TV show, which Bruce Timm has said it is going to go dark. And even from seeing Batman's suit is very much from those very first early comics that we see. So he's got the bigger ears, a bit more of the capes, a bit more winged at the back. I like it. It looks good. The trailer is very straightforward, but it's going to be interesting diving back into this world that Bruce Timm helped create and go into this Batman animated TV show. And you think we don't even get a Batman movie this year, but we're getting this, and then we're getting the Penguin, and we're getting Joker. So Batman fans, we're in for an absolute treat for towards the end of this year. But do let me know, what did you think of the trailer, and what do you think of this TV show? Do you care? I know a lot of people were disappointed that Kevin Conroy wasn't going to be voicing the Batman. He might have, remember, he passed away too early between production for the show. So we're getting a brand new Batman, and it looks pretty good. So I'm very intrigued. Okay, now the next thing is, now this is what needs. I need this at Comic-Con at the end of this month. I need to see the Fantastic Four on stage all together. Doesn't have to be in their suits, but I want to see the Fantastic Four all up on stage, and we're going to be talking about this film. Don't tell me everything, but I want some snippets. Now, Kevin Feige did mention in a recent interview that it will be based in the 60s, but he did allude to it could be an alternate timeline. And saying that if they play that card, you could clearly see the fact that it makes sense why they get sucked into the main MCU timeline and how they can fit into everything. And why they haven't been around for the entire time. They can do that and be projected straight into modern day MCU. Because remember, we got Avengers last week. We had Benedict Cumberbatch, so they're going to be filming Avengers 5 next year. The Fantastic Four is meant to be pillars of the MCU, especially with all the entire shuffle. The film is going up against Superman Legacy next year, so there's a lot riding on the Fantastic Four, and especially after the dismal one that we got from Josh Trank in 2015, 2014, right about there. The Fantastic Four needs to be an absolute winner, and Kevin Feige is going to bring it. And it's funny because we haven't seen the cast together. We've just got the Valentine's Day photo of the cast, and it's like, okay, cool. So how's it going to look? The setting, we're going to be seeing that. Not to mention, we're also going to be getting our first full trailer, which I will at least tease a trailer for Captain America Brave New World that has finished their reshoots. That's all done, dusted. I do hope, but it'll be a very big stretch. I do hope we would get the Daredevil Born Again trailer, but that's probably not going to be coming until November at the end of this year, or D23, because that's going to be dropping in Feb. So come Comic-Con, the Marvel train needs to hit this out of the park, tell us what's happening with Kang Dynasty and everything else in between. But everything is aligning up to that, and I could not be more excited. But yeah, end of this month, we get Daredevil, and we're going to get a shit ton of news about Marvel projects and trailers. Let's go. Now, this is what I was mentioned now as well. There's rumor is going around that Rob Pattinson will be making a cameo in the Penguin TV show with Colin at the end of this year. Now, it'll probably be a very short cameo. The shortest cameo you've probably ever seen in your life, but this is what we're meant to be getting. I would thought this maybe would be. I thought it maybe would be a stretch for him to appear in it, just because everything else has been delayed. But if he's going to appear in it, take my money. I'm really excited for the Penguin TV show. I'm excited to dive back into this world. And if you're telling me Rob Pattinson's back as Batman in the show, just for that little bit, I'm just like, yes. Just give us that little bit of taste, that little bit before we go into the Batman 2, which unfortunately is not coming out until 2026. That's so infuriating. But yes, that's not when it's coming out. But at least we'll have the Penguin to tie us over until then. Also, now I know this is going to make a lot of people nervous, but yes, don't forget a Harry Potter TV show at HBO Max is on its way. Apparently, they have found their showrunner, they have found their director. So, you know what that means? Next up, it's casting call for who's going to play Ron, Hermione, and Harry Potter coming up. And it is going to be so decisive. It's going to be, look, I wish the kids all the best on when they announce who is going to be playing these characters, because there's going to be so much weight to it. I hope they can handle it. It's just going to be, I just hope they're going to be all right. Now, the one little good handy thing with, I know a lot of people are a bit nervous about this, which I am too. At least with the Harry Potter is going into TV show form. The bonus they have that everything that you felt as a fan that got missed from the books will be fleshed out into this. So right now, the rumor is that each season will be a year. So roughly, it will be about 7 to 8 seasons they're booking at. So it'd be really cool to see how much will be fleshed out, how the episodes are going to be structured. We're talking about our episodes. Like this is the next. Like this is, the money HBO Max is going to be pouring into this. We're talking the same level scale as Rings of Power, as House of the Dragon. That's how much money needs to be poured into this. Because those Harry Potter fans, if this is not up to scratch, you're going to hear it. And trust me, I'm going to hear it too. And look, I wish the entire team all the best going into this and everything that will come from it. But the fact they've got the showrunner, the fact they've got their director, there's only one thing next. So you got to get ready for that. And look, in the past week, there's something else that's been happening, which it would be very hard for you to miss entirely. Now, I don't have a photo of it. If you're listening, watch it, I don't have a photo right now. Is the controversy that's it's interesting as everything falls out with what's happening with Dr. Disrespect. Now, from the reason I'm reporting on this is not something I would normally report on, but the fact that when you have a streamer icon, gaming icon like him, there's just so much that's going to be flooded. Every news feed I've got, every single platform I've got has reported on this. And look, my take on the entire thing is that, look, it's because you've heard his colleagues have also said they're no longer be friends with him. I've seen that apparently his YouTube channel's no longer going to monetize him, anything like that. And look, if it's all true, then that's totally wrong on him. But if it's something that's not that bad and it's been blown out of proportion, then look, I do hope the fact he can sort things out and come back and in some kind of fashion. This will hurt his brand forever. The game developers that he was working with have cut ties with him. It's just not looking good for him. This very much will be the end of Dr. Disrespect. And I know there's people out there who are looking through his old footage, everything going through that, trying to go deep and trying to find these different things. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But look, it's a hard situation. It's more harder because what he's done is wrong because he would have known. Harder thing is that when you see one of these streamers and icons, that have been around for so long, and this is how your legacy ends. That's the harder part because this will be the stain that's on your career forever. It will never wipe away. It will never, it doesn't matter how much good you've done. It's not how much you build, how many your fans, everything you've done, everything. Just something like this will be the lasting memory that will someone having your legacy. And, if you've done the wrong thing, that's your own fault. But, if you haven't fully done the wrong thing and you've learned your lesson thing, you're not coming back, man. That's it. And that's the hard thing. You look at people and you're just you did the wrong thing. And that's what you deserve. You don't deserve to come back, but it's what everyone remembers you. Let's look around. Let's look 12 months ago. Jonathan Majors, who broke a box office record for being the actor in the consistent weeks. This time last year, actually more in Feb, he was consistent. He broke the record for being in the top of the box office for consecutive weeks in a row because of Ant-Man and because of Creed 3. Everyone loved his performance in Loki. Everyone loved his performance in Kang. He's posed. He's ready to take on the Avengers. Kang Dynasty, the movie's named after him. And then these allegations come out. He's fired. He's let go, and this will be the last thing on that's going to be on him forever. If he did do it, if he did do it, if he didn't do it, that I'm not going to debate about all that. But the thing is, doesn't matter how great you are. That is what everyone's going to remember, and that's the opportunity you're given. So, yeah. Right now, take what you want with Dr. Disrespect and what's happening with him at the moment, but it's just really disappointing and bad to see. And then, I've seen creators come forward and just be like, yeah, I'm not talking to him anymore. I've cut my ties with him and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't really know if you really need to post that. Like, I understand why you're posting it, but I don't understand why you need to. You could take a little bit more of a diplomatic approach to it. Just be like, oh, he's done his thing, and look, that's keep that over there. That's his thing. That's it. And no, I haven't spoken to him. Something simple like that. But it's it's the world that we live in at the moment, and it is what it is. But look, let's get on something a bit more uplifting, a little bit more better, and a little bit more upbeat, which is The Boys episode 5. Now, episode 5 of The Boys. Now, again, I still don't understand everyone's criticism. I don't understand why everyone's up about this, being going, no, it's terrible, it's shit, it's not living up to the rest of the episodes. I'm like, give it a break. Just give it, it's just doing a slow burn. It's doing a slow burn. So give it a bit. And this episode had a lot. This had action. This had Vought sheep, killer sheep in it. This had Simon Pegg giving one of the best performances in the episode, and it's so sad. So before I go any further, spoilers, left, right, and center, ladies and gentlemen. Or ranters and rantettes. You know who you are. But like Simon Pegg gave a fantastic performance in this, playing Huey's dad. We can see that the V messed him up thanks to Huey's mom. Thanks, Mom, for making Dad go psycho, which he does, and it gets a bloody mess, and just how he appears in people's bodies, and they all just tear apart terribly. And just this, everything else that happened in this episode, the Vought con, the killer sheep, Butcher. I'm like, this episode was a Huey Simon Pegg family episode. That is the meat in this episode. That is where the strength of this episode was. And Simon Pegg has been in The Boys since day dot. He's made little bits here and there, but nothing major. And then this is what he does. This is how he goes out. And again, you feel so bad for Huey, just between everything that's happened to him, from his first girlfriend dying, exploding, his mom left him, everything that's happened with the boys, Butch is going nuts. It's just, you feel sorry for him. And also, last episode, he hurt his ankle and got blood splattered all over him like a pootie. But and just watching it, I understood everything else that was going on, but it was just like, this was just, every time we cut back to the rest of the team, I was more in the back of my mind. I was like, no, I want to know what's happening with Huey. I want to know what's happening with them. And you felt it. This is one of the stronger things about The Boys, is you feel every character death. How, what happens is when you can't control your powers, how nuts it can go, how terribly it can go terribly wrong, which we saw happen at the beginning of Gen V, with, I forgot her name, the main chick said what happened with her parents, how having these powers can go wrong and just turns into a bloody mess, and how quickly it can happen. So, I props to Simon Pegg. He's going out with a bang, literally going out with a bang. But again, that was so much weight to that, and you felt really, really bad for Huey, and all that with his mom. He had to say goodbye again. That was sad. His memory was going. I was like, oh shit, pulling on those heartstrings for more and more. But yeah, you felt it right here. But while the team's doing that, why that's happened to Huey, Butcher and the gang are going to hunt down the virus. So Butcher finally talks about the virus that we saw in Gen V that can kill soups. At the end of that, it was still not strong enough to kill Homelander. So Butcher's going to go and find out and take the rest of the team. So we got Mother's Milk, we've got Starlight, all of them, and then we see the return of Stan Edgar. He comes back because he's daughter Victoria. So we get that, and we get them, and they go to this house where Victoria has put the where the virus is. So they go down this lab, they see everything's a mess, something's gone terribly wrong. And what's happened is the fact that one of the hamsters drank the V, it got drained down into the drain into this farm, and now there is flying. As I'm reporting this, flying sheep going around, killing people left, right, and center, picking up cows and killing them too. And it's a bloody mess. And it's just the whole thing is just nuts. But as the episode progresses, with the boys, as that goes on, they find Amir who was working on it. They find him, they see what he's doing, and they can see the fact that what's happened to him, what's he going to do, and he's got one virus needle left. So what they're going to do is they're going to pour that into the body of one person, and then they're going to go out in it so that all the sheep can eat it and they all die. Butcher says no, Starlight says bullshit, Stan's going nuts, but it's got to be done. So they do that. And then as that goes out, they do that. All the sheep die. However, we found out Amir, Samir, he is disappeared and he's presumed dead. Little do we know the fact that Butcher cut off his leg so he could take him home, so he could take him back to a place. So the fact he could make more virus. That's messed up. Loved it though. But now the way I go talk about Homeland and everything, but I saw a rumor that I saw an idea that I really did like. Now, Butcher's obviously currently now going between that he's seeing Becca, he's hallucinating her, and we've also got introduced a brand new character, which was Joe. Which was Joe. We got to see him, and him and Butcher used to work together, but no one else has seen him except Butcher. And as Butcher turns around and says, "Oh, we're going to get you to do more virus. Going to make you more virus." He turns around and looks at Joe, and it has this really big grin on it. But Samir looks confused, like what's going on? Like, who are you smiling at? So it makes me wonder if he's hallucinating, or we're going to find out that he's effing dead, and Butcher's really going nuts. And not to mention, how's he got superpowers? How's that going? How's that going with Becca and all that? All to kill Homelander and save the kid. That's the whole thing. And on the flip side of things, we get VortCon. They took the piss out of Marvel between the whole thing. We get all that. We also get that A-Train shitting himself because they found the leak, which is pinned on somebody else, which he does pretty gruesome. We finally get the cameos that we've seen from Gen V between Sam, and again, I forgot her name as well. My bad. They finally appeared because they mentioned what happened with the high school, everything, how they're the heroes. This is the first cameo we've got from the Gen V characters. Hopefully they'll appear a bit more later. But there again, they're like, we'll do anything for you, Homelander, as we're also crazy nuts at the same time. So that was funny. Things are getting more intense, and Homeland says that line like, we're no longer be superheroes. We're going to bring the wrath of gods down. So things are still out. You see that Homelander and the superheroes base. I want to say probably the third plot point. That was the least one I care about in this episode, between with Butcher, between his hallucinations, and between what happened with the Hueys and the family. That was the least interesting one for me for this episode. But again, I'm so excited for this week for the boys. You guys go tell me, what do you think about the episode? Has the boys really dropped off in quality? Am I just missing something? Or, people too critical when they do something a little bit different? Like, nah, don't like it. And they're just doing something crazy altogether. Please let me know what you think. And speaking of, I may be going nuts. Finally, we got the Acolyte of what they promised, of what we saw in the trailer, what we saw about the Sith, what we saw lightsabers, Jedi getting absolutely massacred, like no way, just completely. This is the definition of welcome to this new show. Welcome to all these cast members, and they're all going to die. So don't get too attached to any of them. Very much like a Game of Thrones episode. Do not become friends with any of them, because they're all gonna die. So spoilers, if you haven't watched it, very surprised if you haven't, there is dead Jedi dropping like flies. The choreograph in this episode, we get lightsaber battles left, right, and center. It is essentially just a fist in the mouth of action, drama. Again, we still don't find out what Soul did to Osha and May, and why he hasn't said anything, which we do get a particular line from where the Sith finally reveals himself to be the dorky stranger that was helping May, who nails every action in this, absolutely nails it to a T. He is threatening, and you just find that he's like at the mercy of the Sith. That he says, all I want is a pupil, but you tell me, the Jedi, that I can't exist. And if anyone finds out I exist, I gotta kill all of you. So, and he says, this is on you. Everything that's happened right now. And unfortunately, Jackie dies. She has an awesome fight scene where again, he does say, Akumi does say, she was a child. They're like, yeah, you brought her here, so of course it's going to. Your ad dies, crack of the neck. It is just, and it's funny. I was watching this episode, and I could see it. Everyone going, "Oh no, Acolyte's fantastic. Acolyte's great." I take my words back on how shit it was. I'm gonna say to this, look, if someone goes to me, hey, should I watch Acolyte? I'm like, yes. First 3 episodes, boring as shit. Doesn't kick in until episode 5, and that's where it really winds up. And when I say that, I really do hope that the rest of these episodes do wind up and they get rid of how slow things are, which they do set up that things are going to get more intense. But for everyone who's asking, this is most likely going to be the biggest battle of the entire season. The last episode will be either May or Osha with the lightsabers, and Soul versus them. That's going to be a really intimate, like we're talking like Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. Like it's going to be an intimate fight like that, and that's going to be intense, and that's going to be great. But we're not going to see something on this scale for the rest of the episode. But everything that was going into this was fantastic. The fact that he had this cool ability where he was able to shut off lightsabers, which showed the Jedi stuck going, oh well, shit, my lightsaber's not working. Next minute, gone. Jackie's death was probably the worst. That was the worst. She did so well, and the different styles, between how the Sith being aggressive, fast, and intruding, Soul being like the Jedi, taking every pace, taking every blow, taking his time. This is what we were finally promised. This is what we were promised on the Acolyte. This is what we got told what it was going to be like. So this is the definition of a story going slow build up. Slow build up. Not to mention him coming in the last episode like Mary Poppins behind. But this is everything. This was Star Wars. This is fine, cooked and ready to go type of Star Wars, and this is what you want. So this has reboosted my energy going in for the rest of the season. I'm excited for the next episode, but I've got my reservations. The fact that it could go right back to being slow. And I'm not saying that every episode needs to be lightsaber duel here, but just something a little bit more action, just a little bit more of something more intense going on, instead of going, we're going on this planet. No, we're doing that. Something a little bit more meaty, especially when how you pitch the show is going to be, and it doesn't kick in until episode 5. But I don't know. But for anyone who's enjoyed the Acolyte TV show from the very start, I'm like, that's great. That's right. But I do understand the criticism. And it's funny because you're going to look at IMDb and all the episodes of the TV show, you're going to see here's a 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10, episode 5, 9 out of 10. And the next episode could be like 2 out of 10. Like, it's just going to be like this and then boom, straight up and straight down. But this Acolyte, this episode was what it should be. This is what it's meant to be. and we get more in depth about the Sith. We get to see how more imposing the Jedi are being, how the fact that we look up to always being the hero. We want to be a Jedi growing up. We want to be this, and then you see the twist of the fact that maybe they're not as good. What did Saul do on the planet with the twins? What is that happening? And right at the end, we get the fact that Osho may have switched. May's trying to get away. You also find out that a lightsaber can cut someone's hair perfectly. I didn't know that, but it can. Yeah, it can cut someone's hair perfectly if you want to cut your long hair. I'm not saying the fact that I thought that was going to happen, but it did. So they've switched. So now, Soul's got May and Karina's got Osho. This is the amp. This is the juice going up. This is the hype going into this. And why I'm absolutely excited what's going to be for next episode. My main thing about this is I want to know, what did you think of it? What did you think of this episode? Did this live up to the hype? Or what, or was it just another dud? I'm very curious, dud. But for me, for everyone, you guys need to know that this episode had the meat, had the action, had everything Star Wars we've been craving for. Just if you do tell someone to go watch this series from the start, I'm like, well, how about episode 1 to 4? Just watch a supercut and then dive into episode 5. I think that's all you need to do going into this. But Acolyte was fantastic. The episode, there was everything that did happen. There was more just action, fighting, and death between the entire episode. The story did progress a little bit. Obviously, we find out who the Sith is, and that was just fantastic. Wasn't expecting him, but it's all fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my review for Star Wars Acolyte. That is finally kicking into gear. That's what we want to see, finally. So let me know what you think about the boys. Let me know what you think about Acolyte, and get ready for a month that we're going to be getting Deadpool and Wolverine, and we have special guests that's going to be coming on the show for that. And as always, until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.